Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yasodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yasodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yasodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yasodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jai Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivagajara Sarasi Simad His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Goswami Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Vishnu Pad Paramahansa Prabhupada Shishimari Divine Grace, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Srila Gokishore Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Srila Thakur Bhakti Vinod Ki Jai. Sri Guru Parampara Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga. Go Premananda Haribo. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. All together, please. Om Jnana Timirandasya Ganandana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stabhidam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Didati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yukta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrijatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Prijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha He Krishna Karana Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapcha Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Brindavanishwari Rishavana Sudadevi Pranamami Hari Priye Panchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patitanam Pavnebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Chapter 3, Karma Yoga, Text 40. Please repeat. Indriyani, Mano Buddhir, Ashwadishtanam Uchyate Eter Vimohayati Esha Jnanam Avrita Dehinam Indriyani Mano Buddhir Ashwadishtanam Uchyate Ete vimohayati esha Jnanam avritya dehinam Indriyani mano buddhir Ashwadishtanam uchyate Ete vimohayati esha Jnanam avritya dehinam Indriyani mano buddhir Ashwadishtanam uchyate Ete vimohayati esha Jnanam avritam dehinam
Indriyani mano buddhi Asya adhishtanam uchyate Jnanam avritya dehinam Indriyani mano buddhi Asyadhisthana
uchyate
Jnanam avritya
dehinam Indriyani mano buddhi Atvam vidvasi muchyate etad vimohadesya
ज्ञानमावृत्य देहिनम्
jnanamavritamrehinam
इन्द्रियाणि मनोबुद्धि
manobuddhi
अस्याधिष्ठानम् उच्यते
asyananyamuchyate
ज्ञानम् आवृत्य देहिनम्
jnanamabudhya dehinam
इंद्रियाणि
indriyani
मनोबुद्धि
manobuddhir
अस्याधिष्ठानमुच्यते
Uddhishthanamuchyate
एतद्विमुहयेष ज्ञानमावृत्य देहिनम्
jnanamavritadehinam indriyani manobuddhir
अस्याधिष्ठानमुच्यते
uchyate etad vimohyati esha jnanam avritya dehinam. A brave Mataji. There must be one in these liberated days. Secretly there are. Okay, word for word, please repeat. Indriyani, the senses. Manaha, the mind. Buddhihi, the intelligence. Asya, of this lust. Adhishthanam, sitting place. Uchyate, is called. Eter, by all these. Vimochyati. Mohayati. Yati. Bewilders. Esha, this lust. Jnanam, knowledge. Avrityam, covering. Dehinam, of the embodied. Translation Srila Prabhupada. The senses, the mind, the intelligence are sitting places of this lust. Through them lust covers the real knowledge of the living entity and bewilders him. Please repeat. The senses, the mind and the intelligence are the sitting places of this lust. Through them, lust covers the real knowledge of the living entity and bewilders him. Purport Srila Prabhupada. The enemy has captured different strategic positions in the body of the conditioned soul, and therefore Lord Krishna is giving hints of those places so that one who wants to conquer the enemy may know where he can be found. Mind is the center of all activities of the senses, and thus when we hear about sense objects, the mind generally becomes a reservoir of all ideas of sense gratification. And as a result, the mind and senses become the repositories of lust. Next, the intelligence department becomes the capital of such lustful propensities. Intelligence is the immediate, next-door neighbor of the spirit soul. Lusty intelligence influences the spirit soul to acquire the false ego and identify itself with matter, and thus with the mind and senses. The spirit soul becomes addicted to enjoying the material senses and mistakes this as true happiness. This false identification of the spirit soul is very nicely explained in the Srimad Bhagavatam 10.84.13. Yashatmi buddhi kunape trikdatuke swadi kalatra tishu boma jaya di yatetha buddhi salile nakahijit Gyaneshu abgeshu sa eva gokara. A human being who identifies this body made of three elements with his self, who considers the byproducts of the body to be his kinsman, who considers the land of birth, his birth, worshipable, and who goes to the place of pilgrimage simply to take a bath and a selfie, rather than meet men of transcendental knowledge there, is to be considered like an ass or a cow. I was just thinking, it says in the temple that 1,000 rupee fine for taking a photo or a selfie. But nobody's collecting that 1,000 rupees. Now, if it was done for every photo, we could build a new temple in a couple of weeks. But instead we just have a sign. Even if it was 1 rupee, we could pay all the temple expenses in one day. Anyway, that being as it is, that's good management, isn't it? Put up a sign and get laughed at. So, anyway, makum karochi vachalam pangam laikin degirim yadkripatamaham vande Shri Guru Dinatarinam tasmat tvam indriyani ado. Oh, sorry, wrong one. Indriyani mano buddhir avasthistanam uchite ete vimochiti esha jnanam avritya dehinam. I think I'll collect the 1,000 rupees with a sign. We can print up a ticket, a book.
The security will catch you.
They are not charged in cash.
I will give them 10%. You know,
They are
this,
not charged.
this is India. This is India.
Yeah, that's true. That method will work. And even give the management 10%.
No, the 5 of us, we can split the 90%. Anyway, the verse. The senses, mind and intelligence are sitting places of this lust. Through them, lust covers the real knowledge of the living entity and bewilders him. Yes, so Krishna has been sorting out Arjuna. First he gave him, to recap again, Sankhya knowledge. You're not the body, you're the soul. And then he said, now be self-situated. But then Arjuna said, you're telling me all this spiritual knowledge and be self-situated and do my duty, but this is ghastly. How can I be self-situated and do all this killing? Krishna says, you have your duty, you must do it. But you should do it for Vishnu. So that's Varnashram, that is Karma Yoga. Performing one's psychophysical, if you remember, in the purport, Prabhupada said, your mental and physical attributes in the service of Vishnu. And then that will purify the lust. Because the lust is self-serving, whereas prem is to serve Vishnu. It's as simple as that. There's a section in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it explains that prem is in forgetfulness of Krishna. And then prem is Rishikesha Rishikena Sevanam Bhakti Uchite. That when we give up identifying with the body, which is the sitting places of this lust, then we engage this body and mind and soul, intention, in the service of Krishna, in the service of the sadhu, the pure devotee, then that is prem. We become purified. So that is the basic idea. Let us read this section. Because we were saying, yes, Krishna told Arjuna that you must serve Vishnu. Like we were saying, Krishna hasn't really explained his position as the Supreme Personality so far. That will come in the 9th chapter, the most secret, 11th chapter. But Krishna has told Arjuna, serve Vishnu. And then you will not be disturbed in this material world. So that's very important. How to serve Vishnu? By following the order of the Guru to serve Vishnu. So that is Varnashram, that is external to Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Padasevanam. But they are interrelated. In Kali Yuga we are following Narada Pancharatrika. And also Rag Marg, which is Bhagavat Marg. What is Pancharatrika? That Narada Pancharatrika, we are doing in ISKCON a combination of that. Rag Marg means to just Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Padasevanam, all these things under the direction of a pure devotee. That is Rag Marg. But in the Bhakti Sandarbha, Jiva Goswami, he explains that generally the neophyte needs regulation. Right? I think this is what Krishna says at the end of this chapter. He said, you conquer this lust, Arjuna, by regulating the senses. So Narada Pancharatriki is particularly for deity worship. So the first one is that you should rise early, 3:30 before Mangalarti, take shower, put tilak, do archaman, prepare for your puja. And even though the 6 Goswamis, they were great Paramahamsas, no doubt, they all installed deities. So we should not think, oh, well, I won't bother with Narada Pancharatriki, I'll just go to Rag Marg, I'll read the Bhagavatam, chant Hare Krishna, sit on the bank of the Jamuna. No, piety means to follow prescription of the Guru, and the Guru, the expert Guru, gives suitable instruction according to the need of a particular disciple. So the first of the 5 is to get up early and do all those things. Take bath, archaman, mantra, obeisances to Krishna and Guru. And then second is gathering the items of worship, upachaya. So there's 64 items of worship. There is also 16, and then there is 10, then there is 5. These are different levels. And then there is one upachaya, item of worship that can be performed. And what is that one? What is the most essential of those? 64 you might find in, I don't know expertly, but in Jagannath Mandir in Puri, some Vishnu temples are doing 64 and so on. And some people worship Shalagram with 16 items, conch shell, disc, water, agya, this, that, so on, fan. Of course, before all this, these worships, these items of worship, hearing and chanting should be done, chanting. So that is the second one. But the most important ingredient is one. It is bhakti. That is the one. So you see, just a small child doesn't know any mantras, but is taught by the father, go and offer this apple to Krishna. So the child, 5 years old, takes the apple, maybe washes it and puts it in front of the deity of Krishna. Here, Krishna, I couldn't cut the apple because my father won't let me use a knife. I'm too young. But you enjoy this nice apple. So is that worship? Yeah, that's perfect worship. Because the child is naturally, oh, this is my beautiful Krishna. Huh? You see this in the temple, right? The children dance, and then the adults dance. The children feel the happiness, and then everyone starts dancing to the kirtan. So the most important ingredient to gather is, for the worship, the second section, is bhakti. And then the third item is the actual worship itself. The order of items, blowing the conch, offering incense, then offering water, flowers, conch shells, so on. So this is what we're doing in the temple to Prabhupada and the deities. This is Narada Pancharattika. And, that is the number 4. Number 3 is Bhuta Shuddhi. That is chanting mantras to remind oneself and to situate oneself in the spiritual understanding. Naham viprocha narapati naipiva. I am not anything to do with this material body. This body is a troublesome item, it's loaded. I am a spirit soul. Mama angsa jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana. That is called Bhuta Shuddhi. That is to purify the senses, mind and intelligence and awaken the soul to spiritual understanding. Because we're in the material world and this covering of the body makes us forget. We get up in the morning and we definitely think we're the body. And then we'd have to take bath and we gather the thing and then we, now. Gopi bhata kamayo dasa dasanada. Then I can do the worship. So that is the 4th item. And then the 5th item is the Ragmarg. The individual devotees, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, Padasevanam, or chanting of mantra, Vandanam, Sakyam, meditation. This is the 5th item. So we are following that in ISKCON, a combination. But it's very interesting to note that in that Bhakti Sandarbha Jiva Goswami, he says that if you're following Ragmarg, and the good example exclusively, and the good example of this is like Madhavendra Puri. We were talking a few weeks ago. He came to Vrindavan and he said, I put aside my sacred thread. I put aside all my mantras and tantras and yantras, and now I'm just absorbed in the thought of the Leela of Krishna. But of course, that should not be imitated. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, as we were discussing some time back, the last 6 years of his life, he was in complete samadhi in his little bhajan kutir opposite Haridas Thakur's samadhi. He had a servant, Krishna Das, and he would sit in complete samadhi for 6 years. And then he left his body on midday, on the disappearance day of Gadadhar Pandit. So yes, Ragmarg is there. It's also called Bhagavat Marg, where there's complete absorption. And Jiva Goswami says that Ragmarg, which is exemplified in the Srimad Bhagavatam by so many examples of the devotees and Krishna, their interaction, does not require strict initiation. But when the Gopal deity was found in Vrindavan, in the bushes, Madhavendra had a dream, then Madhavendra initiated the local Brahmins into Narada Pancharattika, and then they worship Gopal. I think the temple, the remnants of the temple is still on the hill, right? In the lower section, is still there. So he initiated those Brahmins. So Narada Pancharattika Vidhi is especially meant for Kali Yuga, because in the previous Yuga, temple worship was the big thing for self-realization, but the complexity of that cannot be properly pursued in Kali Yuga. We see all over the world, very materialistic. So Pancharatriki. Narada Pancharatra. Why is it called 5 nights? Because Brahma spoke the Vedic knowledge to Narada in 5 nights. And then he composed the Pancharatriki especially for Kali Yuga. So by following this combination of Vaidhi and Rag, This is very powerful, and this is exemplified by the 6 Goswamis. They all worship deities, they all install deities. Perhaps Raghunath does, but they install Gopinath, Govindaji all over Vrindavan. And so that regulates the neophyte. Because when you do pujari work, you have to consider, I have to do it on time, I have to do it cleanly, and I have to do it service attitude. You have to serve those instructions. So immediately you're becoming a servant of the instructions of Guru and servant of Krishna. And that is the way you overcome this outward pulling of the senses. Because now you're using your senses, body, mind, and all these places in the service of Krishna. So they become purified of calm. And that is what Krishna said. Because if you remember at the beginning, we were saying that Krishna told Arjuna he must serve Vishnu. Okay, Krishna, I'm convinced, Krishna, and what you've explained to me, it's ringing true. It's from the spiritual platform, it's awakening my bhava. I'm beginning to become devoted. But then Arjuna asks a very intelligent question. You know, you're telling me all these wonderful things, Krishna, but, this would be good for everyone to know this, but verse number 36. O descendant of Vishnu, by what is one impelled to sinful acts, even unwillingly, as if engaged by force? So Krishna told Arjuna more or less, if you don't do your duty, that is akarma, not performing your duty. That is vikarma, sinful, not to perform your karma. So Arjuna is asking a very good question. Okay, you've told all this very wonderful knowledge, but why do people not follow it? Huh? Why is one compelled to not follow this and do sinful acts, even unwillingly, as if engaged by force? So, we all have experience. Sometimes we say things we don't want to say. We say things that we shouldn't say. We do things as if by force. So this is a very brilliant bit of psychology. Why? Why do people suddenly do terrible things? Why do we have this affliction? There are 6 enemies in the mind. Lust, anger, greed, illusion, pride, and envy. These are the 6 enemies of the mind. So the root is calm. This desire to enjoy the material energy with our senses in forgetfulness of Krishna. This is lust, as we explained at the beginning. So, then the famous verse, Kamesha Krodesha. It is lust only, Arjuna, which is born of contact with the material mode of passion and later transformed into wrath. Right? Passion goes to ignorance, anger, greed, right? Lust, anger, greed, tamagun. And then moha, illusion. And then pride. Oh, false pride, false conception of the self. And then matsarya, because we're frustrated. We vent our frustration in envy. But the root of that matsarya is envying the supremacy of Krishna. So it all comes from the root to the beginning, calm to matsarya. The root is calm, to forgetfully engage in material sense enjoyment, which is born of later, and which is the all-devouring enemy of this world. So now in Kali Yuga, right, that's what the Rakshasas are doing on the television and in the so-called educational institution. They're telling people to enjoy. That's why we know we're in a Rakshasa civilization. They're not telling people, become self-situated, perform your material duties as an offering to Vishnu, follow Naraja Pantrik. They're not saying that. They're trying to take people out of their spiritual understanding, and advertisement, television, this is all Kali. They're trying to make everyone into Kali Chela. Yes. This is what they want. Oh, spirit. Oh, there's no God. That's unscientific. But in the Vedic prescription, there is no fight between science and religion that we're finding in the modern world, right? Isn't there? Oh, you believe in God? You're unscientific. You believe in science? You don't believe in God. No, there's no division between God and science. To understand Krishna is the greatest science. And all the knowledge given in the Bhagavatam and the Vedas about the mind intelligence and the material energy and the creation, this is purely scientific. And astrology and astronomy, that is all based in the science. In the Vedic culture, there is no division between science and religion. The scientists say, oh, we are rational. You're rational, but you believe everything came from nothing? No, that's a madman's belief. So, Krishna is explaining, if you want to actually understand the absolute truth, you must control this. Thus the wise living entity, the living entity is naturally a knower. Pure consciousness is covered by his eternal enemy in the form of lust, which is never satisfied and burns like fire, right? So the more you put on the fire, the fire doesn't think, that's enough wood, I'm going to go off. No, it burns more brightly. Some people think this, I'll just enjoy and then I'll become a renunciant. No, the more you enjoy, the more you're going to go to Tamagun, and the more you go to Tamagun, then your wisdom, your natural spiritual wisdom will become covered, and you become less likely that you will listen to the sadhus and the Shastra. So, what is the solution? Therefore, Arjuna, in the beginning, curb this great symbol of lust by regulating the sanctuary. As soon as you wake up, you take your bath, you chant mantras, you put tilak, take archaman, get some items for worship, chant Bhuta Shuddhi, offer to the deity, to Shalagram or your whatever, and then you do the worship, and then you chant and have kirtan. This is the regulation of the senses. Therefore, in the very beginning, curb this great symbol of sin, lust, by regulating the sanchas, and slay this destroyer of knowledge and self-realization. So that's it. Sadhana bhakti means regulated. The working senses are superior to dull matter. Mind is higher than the senses. Intelligence is still higher than the mind, and he, the soul, is even higher in the intelligence. Soul, intelligence, mind, body. Thus knowing oneself, Bhuta Shuddhi, right? Bhuta Shuddhi is to chant mantras that make us realize I'm soul, I'm not the body. Thus knowing oneself to be transcendental to the material senses, mind and intelligence, O mighty armed Arjuna, one should steady the mind by deliberate spiritual intelligence, Krishna consciousness, and thus by spiritual strength, bhajan bal, by sadhana bhakti, 4 relative principles, 16 rounds, worship of the deity, study of the Shastra, steady. Conquer this insatiable enemy known as lust. So, Very good. So, but then there is even more advice in the Shastra, and this is in the Srimad Bhagavatam. I think a few months back we read this verse. It is a famous verse and so very important on this topic. Yes, here it is. No, it's not. Ah, yes, it is. It is 10th canto, 33rd chapter, verse 39. I won't chant the Sanskrit. Here's the translation. Anyone who faithfully hears or describes the Lord's playful affairs with the young gopis of Vrindavan will attain the Lord's pure devotional service. I'll say that again. Anyone who faithfully hears or describes the Lord's playful activities with the young gopis of Vrindavan will attain the Lord's pure devotional service. Thus, he will quickly become sober and conquer lust, the disease of the heart. So this is the Rag Marg, number 5. To study the Bhagavatam. And to study particularly the Madhurya Leela of Krishna. But, important point is, before you study such high, elevated topics, and always remembering that Lord Chaitanya didn't ever speak publicly about these things, except with his intimate associates, Sikhi Mahiti, wife, Ramananda Roy, Gadadhar. He never spoke publicly about the Ras Leela. But we do see here from Rag Marg section of Narada Pancha that this is the powerful way. So this is Raganuga Sadhana Bhakti. Yes, we follow Vaidhi Bhakti, but within Vaidhi Bhakti, all the rules and regulations, we must be very carefully doing first, understanding Krishna. First understand Krishna. Aham sarvasya prabhavo matak sarvam prabhatade. Ishvara parama Krishna satchidananda vigraha anadir adir. I am the source of all entities. Sarva karana karana Govinda. First understand Krishna, then understand his pastimes, particularly his high elevated pastimes with the young gopis of Vrindavan. Do not jump to that. This was Bhakti Siddhanta, Bhakti Vinod. If you read their writings, they emphasize this. Srila Prabhupada emphasized it. And therefore he wrote Krishna book, but he wrote it with explanation. And he wrote Krishna book before finishing the Bhagavatam. When I joined, the 4th canto was just coming out. I remember the green cover. And everyone was fighting. Oh, I want to see it. Can I give a class on it? And the 4th canto. But before he finished the other Prabhupada created the Krishna book with explanation. So we should, yes, we want to know and we want to understand. And then there is the Ashtakala Leela of Krishna. There is the Ashtakala Leela of Mahaprabhu. Actually, I'm preparing a book with the Ashtakala Leela of Mahaprabhu. The summary, it's only 8 verses. And then the summary of the Ashtakala Leela of Vishwanath Chakravarti. And then the summary of the Ashtakala Leela of Govinda Leelamrita, Krishna Das Kaviraj. And then there is the Sanat Kumar Samhita. And that is the instructions of Lord Shiva to Narada Muni. And there is a summary there of the Ashtakala Leela. So those things are very high level. Now, the warnings or the advice of the acharyas not to jump at them does not mean that we should not know of them. But rather, we should go with greatest respect, like we explained last week. What does Lord Chaitanya, I am fallen down. I'm not going to meditate that I'm in the Leela, which is a Sahajiya program, Pakrita Sahajiya, from the material platform. They meditate there in the Leela of Krishna. No, I place myself as an atom of dust on your lotus feet, Krishna. First, I realize you, Krishna, and my position as your atom of dust. Now, if we contact Krishna, then our Swarup will blossom. Will it not? Because our relationship to Krishna is only found after realization of Krishna. Because our Swarup is our relationship to Krishna. Without realizing Krishna, we cannot realize our relationship to Krishna. That comes second. And I also last week explained that Lord Brahma, he's laying on the ground in front of Krishna. He said, may I just become grass in Vrindavan so that the gopis will put the dust of their feet upon my head and purify me. He is Lord Brahma. He is Shaktavet. He is Gunavatar. He's not thinking, I'm the intelligence of the universe. Show me that, Bhagavatam. No. He's thinking, he's realizing that the divine Leela of Krishna, as we're explaining here, of Krishna in the Ras Leela, first we have to go there with great awe and reverence. Therefore, you will find, Prabhupada mentioned and also Acharyas, that the Narada Pancharatriki, the Vaidhi of approaching Krishna, is really to approach Lakshmi Narayan in awe and reverence. But by the grace of Lord Chaitanya, in number 5, Ragmarg, reading the Shastra, we are studying the Bhagavatam and we are realizing Krishna. After approaching Radha and Krishna in a mood of great awe and reverence. That is what Lord Chaitanya is telling us when he says, let me be an atom of dust on your lotus feet. If people discuss such intimate details in front of the public who are materially contaminated, who are not regulating their senses, as Krishna advises Arjuna, they may interpret it as a mundane, a poetic rendition of material activity. They won't realize its divine nature. Who can? Lord Brahma is saying, I don't realize. Maybe if I get the dust of the feet of the gopis, I can realize the wonder of that divine Leela, where Krishna dances in the moonlight, in Kartik and Shravan. Maybe I can grasp a little understanding. So this was the warnings that given by, particularly Bhakti Siddhanta was strong on the Pakrita Sahajiya, the caste Jati Gosai, the Jati Brahmins, said no. Just like we said at the beginning of the class, Sevan Mukhi Hi Atak Shri Krishna Namada. We may read about these Leelas, but we should therewith drop from the ocean of the nectar that these Leela, this divine interplay, the Rasa Leela, the Bhakti Rasa, the interchange of rasa and love and ecstasy in the spiritual world, how much can we grasp? Atak Shri Krishna Namadi Nagrayam Indriyane. Sevan Mukhi Jivado Swayam Eva Spuryada. That's what I'm saying, the beginning of the class, right? We can't understand anything of the divine Leela of Krishna by being beautiful, by being rich or educated in a mundane way. We can only understand that spuryada, spurti, by the revelation of Krishna within our soul. What does Krishna say in the Chaturshloki? Tesham satata yuktanam bhajitam priti purvaka dadami buddha yogam tam yena mamupiyanti te. So those who worship with just priti. He doesn't say with learning, with money or hard work. He says, like that child offering an apple. Oh Krishna, Gopal, Mummy told me to give this to you. Then Krishna in the heart, reciprocate. Spurti. Spurti means divine revelation. What is that verse? Yasya deve parabhakti, yasya deve tatagaro chasyate kahita yata prakashante mahatmana. If you have faith and you have love for Krishna, then everything comes automatically in the heart. What's that fourth verse? Tesham evanukam patham aham agyana jamtama nashyami atma bhavasto jnanam deepena bhashvita. The darkness born of ignorance is dispelled by me, personally. I'm doing it. Krishna says. Why? Because you are approaching me with priti purvakam. And like we said last week also, manmana bhava mad bhakto, madhyaji, yes, do everything as an offering to me, but approach me how? Mam namaskaru. Now Krishna is not saying that because he wants everyone to surrender and he's the big king. He's not Ravana. He's not Duryodhana. No, he's giving this secret. Because he says before that, I'll tell you the big secret now, Arjuna. Approach me with humility. And that will capture my heart. Is it not? So he's not doing that because he wants people bow down. He's telling his devotees that this is the secret. What does he say in that? Because you're never envious me and you're friendly. What is it? Sakha eti, he says, right? Because you're my friend and you're never envious, no matsarya toward me. I'm telling you this big Rajavidya, the biggest secret, that I am the Supreme Lord. And now this is the biggest secret, Mam Namaskaru. If we want to understand this divine Leela and then conquer calm, first we regulate the senses, but then we approach Krishna, like Narottam Das Thakur is approaching Rupa Manjari, saying, everything I'm doing is my offering, my vrata, my japa, my study, everything I'm offering to you, Rupa Manjari. What does Bhakti Vinod Thakur say? Manasa Deha Geho. I give you everything, Krishna. What does Lord Chaitanya say at the end? Asli Shiva Padartam. Now I surrender everything to you. And you can do what you like, Krishna. So this is the surrender, this is the humility, this is the worship of Krishna's Leela. We have to go with this ultimate humility, respecting the most divine, intimate pastimes of the Supreme Lord. So yes, They are there, and we should know it. But it doesn't mean to say that this warning given by the acharyas that we say, oh, I don't want to study it. So the last sloka on this point. Now the Ishopanishad is the summation of all the Upanishads. So here we are, if I remember, yes. Sambhutim cha vinasam cha tadvedo beam saha vinashena mritam tirva sambhutam mritam ashnate. This is Vedavyas. One should perfectly know well about the personality of Godhead and His transcendental name. So this is what I'm saying. We have to know Krishna perfectly. His name, form, quality and pastimes. Methodically we study who is this Krishna. Then we can understand Sangha and Leela. As well as the temporary material creation with its temporary demigods, men and animals. So that is Sambhutim, that means Krishna. And Vinasham cha, the Vinash, that means the temporary destroyed material energy that's manifest and destroyed. We should understand that. We should understand both. We should understand the nature of the material world, but we should understand the Leela of Krishna perfectly well about the personality of Godhead, as well as this material, temporary material creation. When one knows these, he surpasses death, and in the ephemeral cosmic manifestation, and the ephemeral cosmic manifestation with it, and in the eternal kingdom of God, he enjoys his eternal life of bliss and knowledge. So we know both. We study what is this material creation. It is achit, it is temporary. The spiritual world is sat, it is eternal. This material creation is achit, full of nescience, confusion. The spiritual world, everyone is enlightened. This material world is niranand. There's no bliss, there's only anxiety and some titillation of the senses. But the spiritual world, the Ladini Shakti, is fully operative. And in this material world, everyone has got false ego. But in the spiritual world, everyone is situated in their Swarup eternally. So if we understand this dichotomy between the material and spiritual, through hearing from the great acharyas, the sadhus, the shastra, then we can approach the Leela of Krishna and we can have some glimpse of that eternal ecstatic realm. And once Krishna sees our sincerity, Tesham evanukam patham aham ajnanatam, I within the heart will enlighten you. But we should approach just like Lord Chaitanya. Let me be a speck of dust. Like Lord Brahma, the leader of our Sampradaya. Let me get the dust of the devotees on my head. Take Krishna's advice. Mam namaskaru. Krishna, I'm a fallen soul, but you be kind upon me. Now that is the best method. That is the essence of bhakti. That is why bhakti is the most powerful, the only powerful way, because you realize Krishna through that humility, because that is what touches the heart of Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So thank you all very much. Thank you for coming to class. Any question? Everything's clear now, right?
There's another class.
Oh, sorry. Are you giving the class?
No.
Yeah, okay. I always try to finish on time. But in the spiritual world, there is no time. So in your association, I don't feel the time. Hare Krishna, Hare